Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to everybody. Welcome back to the new ETC talk in this new academic year. Today, the ETC talk will be about the journey to the cloud computing. I would like now to welcome Mr. Turki Yahmadi, a solution architect in Dell Technologies with 17 years of experience in ICT infrastructure, security, networking, IoT, plus machine learning. Mr. Turkey has working experience in two large global IT infrastructure and IT vendors, Cisco and Dell, and has working experience in local organization to design and operate large IT infrastructure, plus building complicated solution for more than 10 organizations in Oman. So before we start this session it will be recorded. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask Mr. Turkey at the end of the presentation. So, Mr. Turkey, the mic with you, and you can start.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Brother Ibrahim. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And for those who haven't met before, I used to visit the university quite frequently to deliver some of those sessions physically. But today, we'll have it virtually. And that's also a good way to reach out to everybody for other sectors, for parts of the university around the country. Before I start, I guess everybody is Arabic speaker here. Do we have non-Arabic speaker on the audience?
It's up to you and to the others what they have discussed, because all we have there's one person I think Mr. Renato. Yes, okay. Renato is.
All right, so we'll drive it in English. I might do some Arabic word just to try to take tension in here. If you would feel to ask any question, please feel free to unmute and ask the question. You can also drop the question on the chat. I'll try to make it very attractive if possible, and help me please to do so. And we'll start, inshallah. So I selected this topic to share it with you today, and that's why, because the market trend is about cloud computing. And in every single organization now you're working in Oman, they talk about cloud computing. الجميع حاب ينتقل إلى الكلاود بصورة أو بأخرى. For that, we will start to look at the history of computing before we move and define cloud computing itself. And we'll help this poor guy to find out where is his file stored in which cloud. Remember this picture, maybe in the end, we will help him to find which cloud is his storage or his data is. Here is the agenda. As I said, so we'll be looking at the computing history. We will also then start to define what is cloud computing, how to use the cloud, and what is multi-cloud means, the challenges with the cloud computing, and how to get ready as a student and as a career founder or searcher within the cloud industry. All right, so only 6 topics. We'll make it smooth, inshallah. So if you look at the history perspective, we have the history of computer starts in the early 1950s, and where we have our single terminal of a mainframe, and we use to run some basic mathematical applications. 20 years later, we have desktops came up on the market, and then we have some desktop applications with very limited resources and computing. When I say computing, I'm talking about processing power. So since you are IT students, that's something already in your head, and I'm sure you know the history in here. I'm just sharing with you just to catch up, and we reached to a point how this cloud computing story started. كما تلاحظون بدأ الموضوع من الخمسينات بكمبيوترات بسيطة مع centralized terminals من المين فريم، هي ابلكيشنز مخصصه وصغيره جدا جدا للعمليات الحسابيه المعقده. بعد تطور الموضوع الى اجهزه شخصيه in 1970s also with multiple small number of servers. Then we start to talk about in the 90s we talk about client server application, and there where the internet started. And then we need to have more large individual computers and servers. Between the 90s and 2000, there was a big change, and the growth on the industries was huge, where because of the internet, the demand on computing power, like CPU and memories and storage, has increased. We had to build up a number of distributed servers, multiple servers in single locations, to respond to that requirement. برامج بدأت تتعقد، الطلب على الانترنت بدأ يزيد، وبالتالي برامج كثيرة صارت في متداول الناس. احتاجنا لأجهزة أقوى وسيرفرات، وبدأت تظهر معانا الداتا سنترز. Then we start to talk about data centers and building data centers. And we'll go in one slide later on to see how data center history and how data centers came built. Things move a bit faster in 2000 to 2010 until today, where we have huge data centers. We have a lot of applications. We have mobile applications bombing. We have a huge amount of data increasing day by day, and there where we have so much of other applications as well. And all of that has required to have what we call high density servers farms. So high density servers farms where we start to build buildings to host those servers with a lot of computing requirement and other components. From 2010, the story of what we call distributed surfaces, internet surfaces, then the word cloud also came up on the story. And we'll see how these clouds are presented and why they call this cloud. Now, as I said, in the early 90s, where we have the internet bomb and we have so much of servers and computing power required and a lot of storages and connectivity to the internet, we start to see buildings, what we call data center buildings. Looks like, look, those you see here in the picture. I just selected three. It's a huge buildings to contain servers, storage, firewalls, switches, to serve that requirement of the computing. Okay, and here in Oman, we have like 3 or 4 big data centers. We can consider them big. One of them is the Muscat Airport data center, which is huge. It's something like almost a football field size. And we have one whole floor also building for Oman Data Park in واحة المعرفة in Com, exactly in Com 4 building. And we have BDO, one of the biggest data centers in Oman, a huge data center. So there we'll start to see those big buildings to contain servers and other components of the data center. If we dig down, what do you will see inside a data center? You will see these inside data centers. Traditional data centers look like these. You see there is a servers and storages, there is routers, switches, and firewalls, there is racks, cables, air conditioning, power supplies, and all related components to keep this building running to serve the power and cooling required to run every single server. That server hosts multiple applications. One of them could be your email today, your Gmail, your iCloud, your other server. For example, inside the university today, if you walk to the IT department and walk to the data center, you will see some of those elements inside their data center, hosting your Blackboard or Moodle application, or your files or your exams application. In such a thing, it could be smaller in size, but it's same because the size racks can contain something around 40 servers. And you will have connectivity to the internet, you have the wireless services, you have network services included. If we look more higher picture on data center from manpower perspective, you always see big team looking at the data center and taking care of it. حفاظ العملية التشغيلية. Administration team, electrical team, infrastructure team. Infrastructure team هم المعنيين بالسيرفرز والستورج والباك ابس And you have a networking team who look at the network connectivity, network configuration, configure the switches, configure the routers. Security team look at the data center security from logical perspective, firewalls, antivirus services. You look at intrusion prevention solutions, and keeping all these IT department, RT service secure. And also you have a physical security team. And those people who are just physically securing the access to this location and monitoring the place from any intruders from outside. And you can see there is a huge manpower in here. Minimum you need 2 in each of these positions. So we're talking around something between 10 to 15 people to run a single data center. And that number could be changed from the size from different organizations. Today, for example, if we look at Oman Airport data center, it looks like something like this, where you have your racks, you have your cooling, you have your power supplies, generators. There's like something between, I guess, 18 people running this data center 24/7. So you have 2 teams, people work in the morning shift and other people work in the night shift, and so in total something like 30 people is only data centers. So you can imagine how expensive it is to operate a data center and to build it and make sure it's secure and working fine. By now, I guess you will have an idea what data center means and how it works in high level perspective. With those huge data centers, we came up with so much of challenges. Talk about data security, power management, capacity planning, connecting to the internet and internet al-ashya, internet of things, mobile enterprises. بعض المؤسسات صارت تنتقل من مكان لاخر ويبغى لها داتا سنتر قابله للتنقل كذلك او الوصول الى الداتا سنتر من اماكن مختلفه. Reporting, a real-time reporting to make sure that every single items and element working fine. And with all of that, there is so much of cost to maintain data centers. Now you look at the amount of equipment and the amount of electricity is required. There's a huge bill behind operating a data center. And also you will need a big team to operate it. And you've seen that in the previous slide in here, when we talk about people, something between 15 to 30 people to operate your data center. And all of that have become very costly to operate. Do you hear me, guys? Ibrahim, another team. Are you all there?
Yes, yes.
Good. Do you have any questions before I proceed to the other slides? Because we're jumping to another topic now. We talked about data center because I wanted you to know how things are running at this point of time within the organization.
Until now, I don't have questions, but maybe in the end, there's some questions, inshallah.
Anyone have a question, please feel free to unmute and ask the questions. I guess we are only 4 or 7 now on the call, so we have good time to chit-chat and change knowledge. All right, so now every single organization builds a data center with smaller or bigger size or middle size, and they have their challenges. The challenges of data center are almost the same in every single data center. It is small or it's huge. Surely with the huge one, the cost will be more higher, but it's serving a bigger business. Today, if you walk to any organization in Oman, like any ministry or any Oman, for example, you will see a huge data center they have. If you move to BGO, as I mentioned, it's a big data center, and they might have 2 or 3. We have, for example, Oman Data Park, which running 3 different data centers, 2 in Muscat, 1 in Duqm, and they're building their 4th data center in Nizwa currently. And all of them looks like this. Okay, if you go inside, you will see this. Outside, you will see a building like this. You go inside, you will see a lot of racks. If you have a high mountain picture, you will see those elements. So, and you will see also a lot of people working on there to maintain, and everybody sharing the same challenges. Now, organizations are always been complaining about the cost of running those data centers and how we're going to make it less and less and less. But also we need to respond to the business requirements by adding more applications. If we add more applications, there is more data. So we need to have more servers and more storages. Okay, so there's an extra cost will come لأنه كهرباء تيجي استهلاك الكهرباء حيزيد واليوم لما رفع الفواتير كما تلاحظوا لكم. So we have a big issue about electricity billing. So global problem, by the way. مشكلة الكهرباء وأسعار الكهرباء هي مشكلة عالمية. كل مشغلين الداتا سنتر عندهم مشكله في موضوع الكهرباء. ليش؟ لانه السيرفرات الكثيره ترفع درجات الحراره، وهم لازم تنزل درجه الحراره على الاقل تكون 17 داخل درجه داتا سنتر، ما بين 17 و 23، ما تزيد عن هذه الدرجه. ولذلك يشغلوا مكيفات عملاقه. تشغيل المكيفات هذه causing a big electricity bill. Okay, so the electricity coming more from the cooling systems than the server, than the storage, than the other elements within the network. Okay, and also we have another problem. We have the problem of CO2 كربون، وإنتاج الكربون، ونتكلم على البيئات التقنية الخضراء وكيف نقلل من مستوى الكربون. How we reduce carbon innovations or generations out of those data centers. Now, what happened when we had those big data centers and they become very costly to operate, some organizations started to share data centers. So they will cut the data center into half and build them cage. يعملوا شبك داخلي او جدار ويفصلوا الداتا سنتر هذا النص نعطوه شركه واحنا نستخدم النص الثاني على اساس نقلل التكلفه. They're sharing the location, they're sharing the electricity, they're sharing the cooling, but they are separating their servers and their connectivities. Why? Because they want to minimize the cost. Some other organization decided, oh, I will not be able to build the data center because it's very expensive. So I decided to rent the data center. So renting data center. They start to rent data center. We'll go to one organization, can you lease me a data center for 5 years or 10 years? And they lease it only. And they give only the monthly payment. And now the story of cloud computing came, where big organization like Amazon built a big data center and say, okay, guys, come, I can give you a location, I can give you servers, I give you application. Did you get the message now? So we started by building our data center. We found it very costly to operate. We start to share, then we start to rent. Then we said, okay, let's do something different. And where came up cloud computing. Exactly, it's a cloud data center. And that's what we're going to define in the upcoming slide. And you see here, so what is cloud computing? We reach to the main topic of this session. Are we good to now, team? Any questions?
No, until now.
So cloud computing has been defined theoretically the delivery of computing services include servers, storage, databases, networking, software, analytics, intelligence from the internet. And that's what they call it cloud. Internet, it's the cloud. Why they call it cloud? Like 20 years or 30 years back, we started when we drawing our topologies, we wanted to identify the connectivity to the internet, so we draw cloud. مرسوم السحابة هذه with presenting the internet. So the cloud is the internet. When we're saying cloud computing, it means we connecting to a data center on the cloud. That data center operated, maintained by another organization. We just leasing it. نستأجر هذه المساحة في هذا الداتا سنتر نصل إليها عن طريق الإنترنت. Okay? And that became a very good story because we minimized the cost of operation and also we had also easy to scale. صار عملية تشغيل الداتا سنتر out of my headache. Okay? So organizations became more free to just lease and they don't need to worry about electricity, cooling, racks, cables, networking, security. No, somebody had already built it. I will just need to get some part of that for my specific application. And this the diagram in the side shows that how we do it. So from our laptops, from our mobiles, we connect to the internet and we reach to that data center on the cloud, on the internet, and get our servers, get our software, and get our data as well. Like what you're doing today with your Gmail or with your Google Drive, or you're doing it with iCloud for the iPhone users. All right. Now, when cloud story came very good, we start to have a new term, and that term called multi-cloud. Multi-cloud, it's only about the different data center on the cloud, on the internet I can use. Like we're presenting it here. You see, you might serve some applications in Google Cloud, some other applications in AWS, which is Amazon, some other applications on Azure, or any other data center. In Oman, we have 3 data centers. In Oman, we have 3 data centers. Actually, there are also another 4th one, but they are still very small. But those are the main players. Oman Data Park and D2C, which is data to cloud, and Data Mount. Oman Data Park is a subsidiary of Omantel, and it is very big, one of the biggest in the Gulf. Okay? D2C is a subsidiary from أوريدو. أحد شركات أوريدو وتوفر خدمات الحوسبة السحابية or the cloud computing. Data Mount is another investment for a different company, and also they provide the cloud computing services. If you want to go to the global big players, أكبر players في هذا القطاع عالميا, Amazon وجوجل ومايكروسوفت, they are the biggest players of cloud computing globally. Any questions? Do we still have people on the call? I don't hear anybody. معتصم, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you very good. Rahaf?
Yes, I am here.
And so, any questions, guys? Do you have any questions? Are we good till now?
Yes, you can continue.
You can carry on.
So, how to use the cloud? Now, we identify the cloud. We know it's a data center on the internet and we are leasing it. Data center موجودة بالإنترنت ونحن نستأجر منها مساحات معينة. How we are using it? ماذا سوف نستأجر؟ There are 3 main flavors of the cloud computing. One known as infrastructure as a service, they call it IaaS. The second one is the platform as a service, which we call it PaaS. And the third one is the software as a service, and they call it SaaS. You will always hear these 3 terms when you talk about cloud computing. So any organization want to move to the cloud, they want to move one application from their data center to the cloud, they need to look at these 3 options. Should they move and get control of everything in there, which is IaaS, so they will get a server and a storage for their application, and they will get the full control over it, but it's on the internet, on the cloud, or they will only need to get the operating system layer, okay, and they start to develop their applications or run their application on top of it. Or they said, no, we don't want to get in touch with hardware or with operating systems. We only want to run our application. And that is what is that offering. Like Gmail, you do it today with Google Docs, with the Office 365, right? So, but once you go in these pyramids, lower part is more control. You go to the SaaS part, you have less control. But also the cost is changed. IaaS is more expensive, PaaS is less expensive, and surely SaaS is the least expensive, right? This is very important terms to understand of cloud and how you make your decision to go so. And there is a special, assessment organization do to identify how they want to go, and also regulations they need to follow. Not every organization here, for example, in Oman, government allowed to go to the cloud. If they want to go to the cloud, they have to get approval for a certain type of cloud. Will they go SaaS? They will go PaaS, or they go IaaS. All right. And where is the cloud? Are they allowed to go to a cloud outside Oman, or they have to go to a service provider like ODB, D2C, and Data Mount? Right. Now, there is also, although the story of cloud is very beautiful, we minimizing the cost of operation and getting out a lot of operation tasks offloaded, surely we will also minimize our manpower, electricity bills, management, security risk. They have also challenges. I identified here 4 core challenges. One of them is security. The second one is compliance. Security is the data security. If you're moving your data from your own data center to the cloud, which is on the internet, you don't have a full control out of that data. Whatever we're going to do, you still have something outside, and there is a level of risk. Compliance وهي شروط الأحكام لكل دولة ما تسمح لك، وبعض البزنس يقول لك لا أستطيع أن أخرج البيانات من الداتا سنتر مالي وأحطها في الكلاود حتى لو كان الكلاود أرخص. والسبب بسبب دقة حساسية البيانات. وفي عمان government لها قوانين واحكام كثيره في موضوع الكلاود. اي مؤسسه تقدر تحط الابلكيشن او اي ابلكيشن او اي داتا يمكن تروح الكلاود، وكذلك في اي كلاود، هل جوجل اي دبليو اس ولا لازم يكون في اللوكال كلاود within عمان. Okay, this is another challenge. Vendor lock-in. Now, if you move your application from your data center and put it all in Google, for example, later on you decided to move out, is not that easy. It will be very difficult and costly as well. So you will say, okay, I better stay with Google. And also Google is taking a lot of money out of this stuff, and you may be feeling the hit of the increasing cost of Google Cloud or AWS Cloud. So vendor lock means if you move your application to Google, somehow it will not be easy to move your application from Google and get it down to the local cloud or to AWS or Microsoft. Performance as well. Now, performance is available on the cloud. There's a lot of computing and storages, but this performance not meeting every single business requirement because you are dependent on the internet. Every single process has to go. If you have a very good connectivity to the internet, you are fine. If that connectivity is disrupted, you will have an issue. And there also you have to design which application, how much of data, how many users will connect at a certain moment, and make sure that you have enough connectivity to them. Another thing with the performance, because the performance is available there from computing perspective, you will always demand more and more, and that also increase your bill, the monthly bill. فواتير في الكلاود تيجي بشكل شهري أو سنوي عقود. And that have a different model of pricing. Google عندها نمط معين للتسعيرات وتعريفة معينة. AWS have a different pricing model, and somebody calculates data, somebody calculates the processing, memories, and different packages in every single 3 of the items like IaaS or BaaS or infrastructure as a service. Any questions? Are we clear to now about cloud computing?
Yes, yes.
If you feel to ask a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. No questions. All right, we'll move to that.
Yeah, I have question. If
Yes.
you sorry. How to make the trust between the customer and the provider about the cloud computing, like online services? Because as you know,
Can you say it again?
yeah, how to feel the trust between the customer and the provider when they're providing the service as online, like cloud computing. Like for example, if you would like to do pen testing, for example, so our data, it will be in the cloud. So this one, it will be more risk, and there's some challenges, like as you said, is the security. For that reason, most of the customers, maybe they will be little bit fear or something secure about this one. So what is exactly about your thoughts? Because mashallah, you have like more experience in this field.
Ibrahim, just on that, you're asking it, what is the security measurement and control for the customer from the cloud?
Yes, for example, because the trust still, for example, about me exactly, I need time just to trust the provider for the cloud computer, for the services.
Very excellent question. Thank you, Ibrahim. So this is one of the challenges, security. Not every single customer will trust the cloud provider. So there is a risk of security and data loss or data hijack. But every single organization needs to maintain that risk somehow. Some of them said, no, I will not take the risk. I will keep everything on the local data center. And there where they have to pay that big bill. Some of them said, no, I need to have a level of insurance from the vendor or the provider of the cloud about my data. And that's how it works. So Google will come and say, okay, this is my SLA, this is my rules and regulations, this is my security compliance. I will make sure this is what's going to happen. Anything outside that, I cannot insure, and they will sign an what we call NDA. NDA will put some responsibility of the security on the cloud provider and some of it to the customer himself. But again, doesn't mean that you are 100% secure. That's why till today, some organizations don't move to the cloud and keep it within their local data center. And that's also why the government here in Oman and other countries has put restriction about who moves to the cloud and what type of data. A trust needs to be developed and built. And now you also need to identify what type of data you want to keep on the cloud and how risky it is to keep it there, or should I only keep it on it? And there where you will do your data classification and you classify type of data to go to cloud and type of data keep on-prem. And to be frank, many organizations don't care much about the data now. They want to get the service and with a minimum cost. And they will keep it and they will take the risk. They will take the risk of data lost. And they try to prevent that by using backups, having a different copy of the data frequently, and also try to implement the best practice of security, data security in-prem and on the cloud. I hope that answered your question, Brian.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any other questions there? In the end, I will ask questions. Maybe we'll have some gifts for the people who will answer. All right. So let's look at the typical journey to the cloud and how that happens. Now, if an organization decided to move to the cloud, they will just look at the basic applications, like maybe email, and they will move their email to the cloud and take the basic applications and moving to the cloud that which require less security and less critical data, for example, like emails or customer management solutions or inventory software, and they will keep it on the cloud. Then the second step, they look which cloud provider to select. I go with Amazon, I go with Microsoft Azure, I go with Google, or I go with a private cloud. When they make their mind, then they start to migrate some of the other applications after the experience they had. So they maintain. This is a good way where they will move one application, they maintain how things moving, everything's smooth, and they start to move other applications within that. Very advanced customers do what we call cloud smart, and then they started to move. Maybe some application will go Google, some other applications will go Microsoft, other applications go AWS. Why? To minimize the cost and increase the availability and efficiency. All right? And that's what we call multi-cloud now. Your application is not in one single cloud in Google or in Microsoft. No, some of them in Google, some of them in Microsoft. Other items maybe will be kept in your data center because of data security. Right? So we finish the cloud story from technology perspective. Before we move to the upcoming slides, do you have any questions? Any questions, team? We have no questions. So we'll move on the presentation. So how to get it? This is a very important slide for you guys, for our students, or for anyone who moves to this industry. How to get ready to this cloud journey. And why I'm saying that, because with cloud, the chances of IT student graduates to get a job is very minor as well and limited. فرص العمل هتبدا تقل. ليش؟ لانه عدد الداتا سنترز هيقل. متوقع 80% من الداتا سنترز في العالم خلال ال10 سنوات القادمه حتغلق. 80%. ليش؟ لانهم everybody goes to cloud service providers and they go to the internet and get their applications from there. المكان اللي كان يشتغل فيه 15 engineer, today they will need only 2 engineers. So there are 13 positions being wiped out, and that makes things critical. ومع شح الوظائف اللي موجوده حاليا معنا في عمان, you need to get ready. not في عمان حقيقه, it's a global issue. So you need to get ready. How to get ready? Learn the basic of cloud computing. Today we had an introduction to cloud computing, type of services, why we reached to cloud computing. So, but you need to continue learning. Okay? Choose a cloud computing platform and go deeper on it. I talked about Amazon, I talked about Microsoft and Google. You can do more research and reading on here and look at how you get yourself familiar with those platforms. The third important point is getting yourself certified. You need to start to select the path of professional certification where you get yourself ready to the market, because competition is very high. But people who get certified in one of those platforms, I'm sure he easily can get the job. واللي ما دخل السيرتيفيكيشن ويروح بكره السوق وما لقى شغل يرجع ويروح يسوي السيرتيفيكيشن, لانه اللي حصل الشغل اكيد عاد عنده خبره ومعرفه في هذا المجال لو انه خريج جديد. Guys, do you have a question في هذه الشريحه؟ مهمه جدا هذه الشريحه, اهم من كل شيء اخر قلته انا في بدايه البرزنتيشن. Feel free to ask Arabic or English.
It's okay. No questions.
All right. So what certification we need to select? I selected 5 for you. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft certification as Azure Fundamentals, Google Associated Cloud Engineer, VMware certification, and Oracle certification. You get one of those, you make sure you will get your job. If you didn't, you can reach out to me. اليوم السوق محتاج إلى أشخاص عندهم هذه السيرتيفيكيشن, لكن للأسف عندنا قليلين جدا 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 اللي مشوا في هذا المسار وحصلوا على الشهادات. ف getting yourself started with one of those certifications is very important. Although you are سنة أولى ولا سنة ثانية or first year, second year, get yourself ready. Read, watch in the YouTubes, attend some of those classes, time some time to read books about cloud computing. Very important. Do you have any questions? إذا حد ما يسأل في الشريحة عاد خلاص ما أظن حد يسأل. معنا أنتوا شباب؟
أيوة معك. Yes.
إبراهيم تأخذ واحدة من هذه الشهادات إبراهيم؟
Because my path is in security, no? So just my focus on cyber security.
Excellent, man. There is a huge part of this. If you look in the Amazon Web Services, there is one whole path about security.
Yeah.
Cloud requires so much of security skills. But your security you're going to learn here is not the typical security you will use to learn about firewalls, basic firewalling, or next generation firewalls, or maintaining a network security. It's a bit more different type of, not that big difference, but it's quite in a different technology as well. Because VMware, for example, has a whole package of security applications, what you need to get aware about it, how to use it, and there is also a path for it. You could select one of those paths to improve your security knowledge and skills and carry on that part. Any other questions? All right. So you remember this poor guy who was wondering where is his data stored in which cloud? Maybe now he knows his way and he is monitoring the cloud, as his boss is saying. Very good. Look at, guys. I hope this session was informative to you. I will keep these last 10 minutes for questions. I didn't hear much questions, unfortunately, but I wish you have questions now for the upcoming. Please feel free to ask. It was my pleasure to be with you. Waiting for your question. هل عنده أسئلة إخوان؟
Mr. Renato, Marlon, if you have any questions, المعتصم رفف إذا عندكم تفضل.
I want to just continue on the
Yes, we'll start with Marlon.
I want the last slide.
Slide. This one?
The other one.
The joke slide?
Yeah, this one.
You like the joke here?
No, see, you can see the last one in the left. They thinking which cloud is their data stored.
Yeah.
Yeah, see a lot of vulnerability there. You saw this one. What I'm thinking, like, where's my data here? Do they attack, or do they have this security in place? Is thinking about, is my data hacked or like this? So all those questions has been thinking about every day actually. If you put your data in the cloud, a lot of thinking, oh, my data, is it still there, or it is being hacked, or it's being compromised or anything? This is the reason why some of them, they stick on on-prem, and those who have big companies that they can afford in the cloud computing, they can afford, and they can categorize which data they want to put it in. Right?
Yeah. Actually, that is good input from you, Maran. It's a concern. Security is a concern. But practically, everybody will move to the cloud because no one will be able to maintain the cost of running their own data center with the current increased operation cost from electricity perspective, equipment perspective, skill set, getting the right people. And you will see that big organizations had moved, and also mid and small size organizations, they moved because they cannot build their data center. I believe that, as I said, statistics saying that 80% of that center will get closed. So we'll remind those 20 who have the ability to run their own data centers. And we're seeing this change for the past 3 years. A lot of organizations start to move their application to the cloud. Banking moves to the cloud. Oil and gas moving to the cloud. A lot of government moving to the cloud. The concern of security is still there, but also there is something need to be maintained between the cost and the risk of security. Thank you for your input, man. It was a
Yeah, thank you also. Thank you.
Natasam, you wanted to ask a question. Go ahead, please.
You talked about the data centers and they consume a lot of electricity in their powering. But when they move to the cloud center or the cloud center or the cloud computing, there is another companies that will have the servers, but they want to reduce the emissions of CO2 or something like that. And also, I want to ask about how efficient there will be in the quantum computing and the quantum servers, because and how are they? Because they need a lot of cooling, more than the normal servers, and how they can compute in the future.
A very good input and questions, Mu'tasim. So we'll take the first question. Mu'tasim asking about if they're moving to the cloud computing, there's still also, there is more servers will be there, and there is a consumption of electricity, and there is also more CO2 will be produced. Yes, but not to that extent, because now every single or a group of like 20 data centers closed, they will only hire 2 racks inside data center. And we're looking from footprint perspective, number of servers, number of storage equipment, and electricity consumption, is if there is a 10 organization move, they are saving almost 80% of their power consumption. Why? Because in data center, they are sharing the same resources. They used to run their own 20 servers. Now, similar 20 servers are hosting 10 different customers. Previously, there was like 200 servers. Because in operation, you don't usually utilize 100% of the servers or storage you have. And with cloud computing providers, they are sharing the same pool. Okay, so we're still minimizing the consumption of power and saving or reducing less CO2. In the second part of quantum computing and quantum computing servers, usually they are very selective high-end industry use quantum computing. And is there an offering? Yes, still there's an offering for quantum computing, but practically, if you do cloud computing, and you will be a big organization for research or in a very advanced industry, and they have their own data centers for that. It will be very expensive to run a long-run quantum computing on the cloud. So it's yet very minimum number of organizations will be fit for cloud quantum computing requirement, and there is also very minor till today quantum computing setups globally. By the way, one of the biggest quantum computing is built by Dell in the US, which is also for a researcher and development in quantum computing stuff. I hope I answered the question, Mu'tasim. It was a very good input. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any more questions, guys? So if you don't have any questions, I would like to thank you very much for your time. Just to take away from this session that the future is with cloud computing. And the three surfaces is, as I said, IaaS or BaaS or software as a surface is the options that everybody looking at. We're seeing organization moving, and the global is moving to that part. Thank you again. Hope to see you in other sessions, and I hope this session was informative. To you, Brian.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Turki, for your time and sharing knowledge and valuable information. And the topic is interesting, really. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of the audience, and have a great afternoon and great holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, so.
Thank you, Mr. Turki, for your time and effort.